Hi, welcome. My name is Dan McCluskey, and I'm going to be discussing my study, my 18-year study that I undertook, which lifts the curtain fully on the connection dogs share with us through nature and through the pack relationship. This study comes from my book called The Mind and Body Connection, New and Profound Insight into the Dog and Human Dynamic. This recent book is available on Amazon Kindle if you're interested in getting it. The study is contained in here, as well as going into detail as to what this connection represents and why it's critical that dog owners and dog trainers get in tune to what this connection represents and as it connects to how we think and connect with our dogs. So I'm going to drop down here to the study and going down through sections of my book here. A lot of great information in here. This breaks everything apart and down. Here, I'm going to show you part of the study, how it centers my whole system. How I approach training is based off this shared connection. Here, my whole methodology it follows this cognitive model that I've developed off the dog and human dynamic, this interplay of the psychology and this connection. So it's all about finding or linking to the how people think, and this is what part of it is identifying primary influence. So whoever interacts with the dog the most, generally it's over 50% of the time, is going to have the most influence on the behavior issues through alignment of the roles. So, how the dog's decision making is impacted results from that. It's like an echo effect. Here, the psychological path connection of the primary owner, that's what you have to analyze. The type of connection that's based on emotion, how much of that hits the tipping point is just beyond what puts them into the nails of their psychology are more weak than strong, and so you have to have the ability to analyze that. And how you do that is through language. I can break that apart, tell you pretty much what they're doing. Again, mind and body, how they're thinking, mind and body. So physical interaction, you'll see them touching their dog a lot. So you have to. Now it gives you a baseline to follow. And then, of course, that's just one part of the puzzle. You look at the behavior, decision making of the dog, type of behaviors going on, frequency, how much they're happening, the elevation levels. I mean, it's just like I described as the bathtub filling up with water. How a dog's mind pivots off these interconnected roles. It all follows this path. So. It's part of it. So here, coming up, my next diagram here, next part of what's in the book here, it shows you the tipping points. I break this down. So, you'll see here when problems start to develop. I mean, they can happen. I mean, that happen fast. Dogs are born. They're right from the puppy stage. They're born with this need. I mean, they're pack animals. So this connection happens the moment you bring your dog home. That's why obedience, training or how we define obedience training, it's connection. So therefore, it happens immediately. How you're connecting. I mean, this connection is a shared connection. It comes through the mind and body. It's a shared thing. And so dogs really do, I mean, it's profound. They have the ability to kind of see or analyze how many, your framework of how you're thinking. If the bond is too emotional, then you're going to have a problem. And for us to analyze their own psychology, it's extremely difficult. But that's why you have puppies. Just they'll grab power quickly, and you're going to have a problem. So here, how you think matters. I mean, this is the thing. So when you hit this tipping point here of behavior issues, as they start to start off, and at a point here they're going to get worse and worse and worse. And then this is where my whole system, when I step in, it's a intervention. I mean, right here, this tipping point level here, This is when you're picking the phone up saying, Dale, I need some help. So how I approach training, because what it is anyway, it's a intervention. That's all it is. If you're doing any sort of formalized training, what are you doing? I mean, that's the whole question. Is you're targeting, and your goal is to impact the decision making of the dog. So you can be running around pylons and doing all sorts of things, and it not having any impact whatsoever. And we'll get into this here after in some of my videos. You're going to see me talking about this whole thing about type of influence that's happening within these learning models, and why there's a breakdown there, and why a lot of trainers just can't figure it out because they're heavily invested in these ideas. So here, the frequency and elevation of unwanted behavior, it increases as the dog gains power. And once the intervention is happening, role change is occurring. That's what the system is built on. You're going to see diminishment of unwanted behavior. The decision making of the dog is impacted. So you'll see diminishment. So all the associated behavior issues, kind of picture them as branches coming off the tree, and the tree is the role. They go down. So it's all about how you think. So the focus is the psychology. So here, I say the temperament of the dog only matters within the context of how much the owner's psychological path needs to shift. So it's about change. I mean, I'll look at the dog briefly, and then it has to circle right back to the owner again. So the owner is the critical part of this. And again, I mentioned here, puppies can gain a huge amount of power very fast, based on how much of that connection or bond is built on emotion. So it plays a huge role in the relationship. So just come down here, and you're going to see something here that you're not going to see. I guarantee you, you're not going to see this with any other system anywhere. I lay out this cognitive model, how the interplay of it. So you'll see this circles around. It just keeps going outwards. And influence type. This is important right here. You have to understand. You have to qualify the type of influence happening between the dog and owner. I mean, a lot of trainers, they don't qualify. They're focused on body rather than mind. This system of training, it's mind and body. So you can't always, when you look at, again, dogs moving around, obedience class, you're not always going to be able to tell right from appearances, the influence type. You got to test that. How do you do it? You got to put meaningful influence over the mind. So and see how the reactions of the dog to that. Devices, interactions. So anything, again, psychology. So anything that if you're heavily invested in, say, if you're more emotional, a person, you got to lean towards certain devices. Could be treats, could be clickers, could be body harnesses. But what it is, you're trying to subconsciously or otherwise, you're following. You're trying to make everything you do is conforming to your psychology. The psychology involved. So even the interactions. So all the choices you make are going to follow that path. And this is the whole thing with the emotional state. So the whole interplay of that. So your character, your personality type, really matters, and dogs really do pick up on that. So what you're holding in your hand isn't as important as what you're holding in your mind, but what you're holding in your hand is going to be a reflection of what's in your mind. So here you see the dog part of this. So nature pack, I mean, that's part of it. Strength, weakness, it's part of the dog and human connection. There's a connection that goes on here between dogs and owners. And again, influence type, but the behaviors are a direct result of decision making of the dog, how that's impacted. Again, it pivots directly off the role. So again, it's all, like I said, they're interwoven. Here's my study. I'm going to bring this up for you to see here. This is a case study that I did. Now, this study will be absolutely rejected by those invested in behavioral science. And I go through, this whole book goes through exactly why it can't be accepted, although it's the absolute truth. Okay, there's no agenda here. I've been using this system of training for almost 20 years, and so even when I put this study out, I already knew what it was going to say. I mean, I wasn't fooled here. I started crunching the numbers here, but you're going to see Very significant thing here. You're going to see here the study involved over 1,000 dogs, 1,020 dogs. Both dogs and owners that needed intervention, needed help, came to me. Now here, this next graph shows here a breakdown. Owners that are female and dog owners that are male. You're going to see a huge gap, between male and female. Okay. But again, you think about psychology, how you think it's all men think differently than women. I lay that out here. This isn't a sexist comment, although a lot of people are going to be crying out that it is. But I suggest those that are saying that are probably ones in the worst shape anyway. I mean, really, it's all psychology. So, because really how I approach everything, it's individuals. But again, you have to say, well, this is interesting. I mean, this is a really big big gap here. So it's the whole maternal thing. Again, not judging people. This isn't about that. This is about, because we have to get to a true standard. I mean, that's the thing is like, this kind of, what this does kind of opens up that whole level of showing us that there's something else happening here between dogs and owners. Dogs are, you call it intuitive, but they really do. They follow that whole, your psychology, the framework, and they're able to really do their own personality test, so to speak. So that's important. So when you go further here, you'll see how many out of this number here, how many had past training. And all the past training means most of them, almost all of them came from conditioning, the learning theory. So the conditioning means the more the weakness. So it's ideas about learning theory. And so when you put this together here, and I didn't list all the kind of graph charts. There's there's a couple dynamics happening back and forth. Of course, you can look at temperament of the dog, and there's certain dynamics, but it all comes back to how we think. It really does. So you can always, these links, they're consistent. They're well defined. You can track these. Okay, when you help dog owners, you can break it down. I'm looking at something different than what other people are looking at. I'm looking at the psychology and the interplay of that psychology connection here. The response rate, extremely high. This response rate is based off initial, during the first session, the decision making of the dog impacted right away, immediately. Now, that's not to say I've had people that, with follow-ups and stuff that struggle and everything, but the difference of this system is you have the right information. Okay, you'll see the dog's mind start to respond immediately off the interplay of this model. So it's profound, it's significant. Again, it's it really shows you. And here there's a breakdown. I go down, and I even reference this how, some of these people that, a statement about it being sexist, about the breakdown with, with saying about high number of women. This isn't the first time this red herring's thrown out there by Mark Dare. I mean, he's wrote several articles that many of these dog behavioralists will reference him, and I just show it's just a red herring. I mean, it's not to peg people, but I even reference that to here scientific studies showing that it's common sense, but here the emotional wiring of sexes is fundamentally different. Of course it is. I mean, men think differently than women. So how that plays a part with the dog relationship, nature's all about that. There's no agenda. Nature's about truth. So it's just significant, something that you have to take into account. You can't ignore the obvious. And again, I'll go through here about past training. So everything here in this book, I just want to, for this part of this video, I just want to go into the actual study. But my book is, I'll tell you something, this is the most insightful book that you're going to find anywhere. There's the information here, because I developed this, I created this system. The study and everything is, it's the most in-depth book on this connection you're going to find. I lift the curtain fully on this connection and what it represents. I break apart all the issues. I show what, how we have to change our approach, how we look at this relationship, because we'll be able to save a lot more dogs. It's all about how the part we play within this relationship through how we think and connect with our dog. So again, encourage you to check it out. It's available Amazon Kindle, The Mind and Body Connection. And again, thanks very much for watching. and I hope you get something useful out of this information. Thanks very much.